In March 2023, a fake image of Donald Trump being arrested tore across the internet. Millions shared it. Almost none of them realized they were doing free marketing for the company that made it. Here's the strange part. This is the age of AI, where headlines never change. Companies raising billions and burning through more than they make. Look at OpenAI, which is reportedly losing billions a year. And then there's the company behind that image. No VCs, no fundraising, no ads, not even a big team. And for the first 2 years, they didn't even have an app. Around 11 people pulling in by 2025 an estimated of $500 million a year. The company was profitable within months of launch. That company is Midjourney. Everyone assumes the lesson is that Midjourney skipped marketing. It's actually the opposite. Midjourney dissolved the line between product and marketing so completely that there was nothing left to pay for. And there's one moment in this story, the same month as that fake image, March 2023, when the company did something so reckless it could have killed it overnight. Instead, it became the proof of everything you're about to see. We'll get there. But first, let's discover more about the man who built it, because he tried the normal playbook once and it nearly destroyed him. David Halls had done it all by the book before. His last company, Leap Motion, raised around $94 million in venture capital and reached a $300 million valuation in 2013. Then the hype faded, the product never landed, and in 2019 it sold for $30 million. That's it, a tenth of its peak. So with Midjourney, he made one decision that shaped everything. No investors, not a single dollar of outside money. Just a small, self-funded lab with a simple mission: to make humans more imaginative, not to make imaginative machines. That choice forced everything else. No investors means no pressure to grow at all costs. But it also means no money to buy growth with, which is what pushed the marketing inside the product. So how did a company with no outside money outgrow rivals who had raised billions? Well, not with a clever campaign, but with a great product. Think about what Midjourney did. Before Midjourney, getting one original, professional image, piece of concept art, or a poster meant hiring a skilled artist, waiting hours or days, and paying for it. Midjourney collapsed that into 60 seconds and a simple sentence. This isn't a feature, it's a small miracle, and miracles get shared. But here's the actual question. There were other AI image tools out there. Why didn't Midjourney images specifically take over the internet? Because of one simple, deliberate choice. The others were built to obey your prompt literally, to be accurate. Midjourney was built to be beautiful. Where a rival gave you a flat, slightly uncanny version of exactly what you asked for, Midjourney gave you something cinematic, dramatic, often better than what you had pictured. People still call it the Midjourney look. In user preference surveys, it consistently leads the entire field, and it needs the least skill. Even a clumsy one-line prompt comes out gorgeous. Now here's the cleverest thing in the whole story, and almost nobody notices it. Where did that taste come from? It wasn't the raw data. Asked what the model was trained on, Halls was refreshingly blunt. It was, in his words, a big scrape of the internet, and we weren't picky. But that same scrape of the web was available to everyone. It's not where the magic was. The magic was the taste, and the taste came from the users. Midjourney runs what it calls rating parties. It shows you two images, asks you which is more beautiful, and rewards you with free creation time for actually just answering. Millions of those votes get fed into training the next model. So every time the community uses Midjourney, it was also teaching Midjourney what humans find beautiful. Sit with what that creates. The better the product got, the more people shared it. The more they shared, the bigger the community grew, and the more it taught the model, making the product more beautiful still. The product and community weren't two things. They were one loop feeding itself. And the proof that this crowd-trained taste became genuinely the best in the business. In August 2025, Meta, Mark Zuckerberg's company, struck a deal to license Midjourney's aesthetic technology for its own AI models and products. One of the biggest companies on earth licensing their taste. Now, how did this sharing actually spread? This is where Midjourney's single weirdest decision became its smartest. It didn't launch with an app of its own. It launched with a bot inside Discord, the group chat platform, and it made one rule that changed everything. By default, you created in public. You didn't make images alone. You typed your prompt in a room full of strangers and watched their creations stream past in real time right next to yours. Halls has described this as a kind of hive mind. Thousands of people creating together, superpowered by the same technology. A hive that would eventually swell past 20 million members, making it the single biggest community on all of Discord. Now that might sound like a quirk. It was the entire distribution engine actually. Because when creation happens in public, every image a stranger makes is quietly working on you. You see the output, it's an ad. You see that it obviously works, so it's a proof. You see something better that you could make, so instead of leaving, you lean in. One public image is an ad, a testimonial, and a sales pitch all at once for free, but a public feed did two deeper things than a billboard could ever do. First, it taught you the prompts were public too. So you didn't just see the beautiful result, you saw the exact recipe. You learned by copying, got good fast, and then posted your own work, which became the next person's lesson, a school that ran itself. Second, it made people share their own work, even when it wasn't perfect. There's a quirk of psychology called the IKEA effect. We value what we put effort into far more than it's objectively worth. You wrestle with the prompt so the image feels like yours, like an achievement. And nobody files an achievement away quietly. Pride is the real engine of sharing, and Midjourney handed everyone something to be proud of. So why Discord and not an app of theirs for so long? Partly it was practical. Discord handed them accounts, chat, mobile, and payments for free, so a team of 11 people could move fast. But the real reason comes from Halls himself. Alone with the chatbot, he said the experience falls flat. Put the same tool in a room full of people and it comes alive. The community wasn't a feature attached to the product. It was the product. Midjourney did eventually build its own website years later, but only after the Discord hive mind had already carried it past hundreds of millions in revenue. The app didn't build the company, the crowd did. So the loop spun. More users, more public art, more proof, and more learning, which led to more users on a marketing budget of absolutely $0. And it ran absurdly for far beyond Discord too. The fan subreddit alone passed 1.7 million members. In 2024, Stripe named Midjourney its most globally distributed business, with paying customers in more countries than anyone else it served. Most companies treat their community as a cost, a place to handle complaints. Midjourney treated it as the entire engine. Its advertising, its classroom, its sales floor, and its R&D lab. If using your product is visible to others, your community stops being a cost and becomes the most powerful distribution you'll ever have. So I hope you remember the reckless moment I promised you earlier in the video. Well, here it is. Because if the community really was the engine, there should be a way to test it out. In March 2023, Midjourney accidentally ran the test. At first, like everyone else, it offered free trials. Then came the perfect storm. The fake Trump images dominating the headlines and a flood of throwaway free accounts overwhelming the servers. And Midjourney did something that could have been well considered suicidal at the point. It killed the free trial completely. From then on, you paid for every first image you wanted to create, somewhere between $10 and $120 a month. For almost any company, the free tier is how you get people in the door. Take it away and the top of the funnel collapses. Midjourney took it away, and the same year their revenue quadrupled, from roughly $50 million to roughly $200 million. That's the proof. The free tier was never how people discovered Midjourney. The feed was. So when the free tier disappeared, the real front door, the community, stayed wide open. And charging only helped in their case, honestly, because it gave every user skin in the game and kept the public feed full of serious creators instead of just random tourists. So step back and look at the whole machine. Midjourney had no marketing department, not because it got lucky, but because marketing was never a separate job. One act, a person making an image in public, did three things at once. It sold the product because the image was an ad. It distributed the product because it spread through the community. And it improved the product because the creation helped train the model. It also used timing to its advantage. Midjourney arrived at the exact instant AI images went from impossible to magic, and it landed on a platform where its perfect audience was already waiting. So, what do you actually take away from this? Not a framework, 3 bets. Bet number 1, your customers are louder than you. Let people show off what they make, put their results on display, and then get out of the way. One customer showing off does more than anything you could ever say about yourself. Bet 2, timing beats budget. Midjourney caught a wave at the exact moment it broke. You can't manufacture that, unfortunately, but what you can do is stay ready for it and move the second it arrives. Bet 3, the idea that looks stupid early might be the whole new edge you need. A bot inside a chat app looked like a toy. It became the engine. When the unconventional move feels a little embarrassing, that might be exactly what would work. And remember where all of this started. Not with a growth hack, with a founder who watched $94 million of other people's money turn into a fire sale, and then decided he would never let anyone else's expectations shape what he built again. Every strange, brilliant choice in this story flows from that one scar. Midjourney didn't skip marketing. It had the most powerful marketing of the entire AI boom. You just couldn't see it because it never lived in a budget. It lived inside the product, the community, and the loop between them. That's the hidden marketing behind Midjourney. There's always more hiding in plain sight. So I'll see you in the next one.